USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Chaol uses his position as captain of the guard to boss Celaena around, but struggles to keep his boundaries with her clear. Nehemia approaches Dorian and challenges him to stand up against his father, while also offering words of support for his future. When Dorian does stand up for the slaves of Calaculla, the king puts him in his place, and Dorian's anger as a result reveals a terrifying secret. Chaol doubles down on his loyalty to the crown, despite news of Nehemia being targeted. After an unnerving encounter with Baba Yellowlegs, Dorian gives Chaol a birthday present, but gets jealous when Celaena claims the captain for the day of his birthday. The next day is the anniversary of Celaena's parents' death, and she rides away from Rifthold to mourn the past.
Hey there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously.
This is Jack.
And I'm Amy.
We embrace and respect modern fantasy, romantasy, romance books written by women. And so it is in our nature to analyze these books as we would any other novel we might have discussed in school.
With our combined 13 years of literary academic training, we use our education to analyze and give voice to reasons you may love or hate today's popular books.
This is part 1 of this week's episode, where we're discussing chapters 17 through 21 of Sarah J. Maas's second Throne of Glass novel, Crown of Midnight. For a complete list of episodes and chapter breakdowns, be sure to check out our Instagram at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk.
Before we dive in, let's talk about Spilt. Spoilers, perspective and interpretation, language, and themes.
Spoilers. While our discussion is about Throne of Glass, important context from the first 3 novels in the series will be discussed without spoiler warnings. That is specifically Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. This is not a read-along for anyone who hasn't read at least these 3 books, and you will be spoiled from here on out. So please, take this as your only spoiler warning. For all other spoilers beyond Heir of Fire and other SJM works, we will keep those to our breadcrumbs and broomsticks section at the end of the episode.
Perspective and interpretation. What we discuss in this episode are strictly our personal interpretation of the text. We do not speak for Sarah J. Maas and in no way know her intentions for her books or characters. We also know our listeners have their own personal views and opinions, and we encourage you to share your thoughts with us because every perspective and interpretation is worth exploring.
Language. Even though we sort of keep swearing to a minimum, it happens. Explicit language occurs. Beware.
Beware. Themes. We also discuss some heavy subjects throughout the podcast that can include themes of sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death. While we will do our best to give trigger warnings for the darker themes, we will discuss these topics when they are important to the text. Listener discretion is advised.
As always, we love keeping the conversation going because our listeners are so good at finding things we've overlooked or completely missed. You can share your interpretation of the text with us by posting on social media, tagging us in stories, sending us DMs, or submitting to the form on our website. We also post more exclusive content and host live streams for our Patreon supporters. You can find us at patreon.com/booktalkforbooktalk.
This week, we're asking ourselves the following question. We see Chaol struggle with his honor and Celaena struggle with her destiny. Can the two of them even have a successful relationship when they are driven and haunted by different things?
Themes we see in this section include still ignoring that call to action and power dynamics versus loving relationships. We're going to start in chapter 17, and we are at the party. This is another party. There's two parties in this book. I forgot that there were two parties. And until we were analyzing it, and I'm like, what is happening? Even though I had just read it. Anyway, so Celaena's back on guard duty. She's not happy about it, and Chaol is in boss mode. Quote, a few hours in the winter night would cool her down. This is spoken like a true captain of the guard. He is her boss. I think the power dynamics are going to be very clear in these chapters, and I find that they are emphasized more so, especially during the chapters when their relationship is really developing. So I find that to be pretty interesting, and we're going to keep pointing that out. And I think that's kind of the part where people who don't like them like Chaol, like they can't really figure out where, or they say they know where, but I feel like I can't figure out where they don't like him. But I can see how this might be maybe a little hard. I'll continue to say, though, that Chaol is the one who understands Celaena best at this point. Quote, not that he didn't trust her, but having Celaena in one of those moods always set him on edge. This is, at first I'm like, hey, red flag, bro. Like, that's unfair of you. However, she does later on try to kill him when she's upset. So, he's also not wrong. And we're not seeing the best side of Chaol. I think he's struggling with being this boss, this captain, but he's also struggling so much with his feelings for her and doesn't know where they land in the hierarchy of what's important to him.
Right. And he is most comfortable being the boss more than he is with trying to navigate how he feels and where that lands in all that he knows about himself and his life. So Chaol knows, and I can guarantee Celaena knows, that she is deliberately disobeying orders because, quote, she was currently leaning against the pillar, arms crossed, not hiding in the shadows as he told her to. He could see the hilt of one of the daggers she wore at her side. There is a power play going on. Not only is Chaol asserting his power as captain of the guard right now, and someone she supposedly reports to, I question that, though. While Chaol is asserting authority because he's uncomfortable, because he needs to be in control, it doesn't matter if it pisses her off. Like, he knew she was going to be in a mood. Celaena counters this by saying, well, you don't want me visible? I will be visible. And I'm going to make sure everybody knows that I'm a threat because it's a big fuck you to Chaol. He knows she doesn't want to be there. And again, does he really have authority over her if she is King's champion?
I mean, does she want to be visible? She kind of... Oh, the daggers that she wears on her side. That's fair. Yeah. Well, she bounces. But she bounces
does eventually
with her daggers, yeah. We see Celaena, we're still in Chaol's point of view. He finds her outside, and SJM is really setting up the reader on what to expect from this scene. Quote, he could see the tendrils of her breath curling in the night air, and the moonlight glinting off the hilt of one of the daggers she wore at her side. Her breath is curling, almost like you could say like hairs curling. The daggers are being like spotlit, almost like a dress. And this is a very romantic description of her for a very deadly assassin. And I want to flag a moment when this is going to be, we were saying this chapter, this episode's kind of all over the place of what's happening. And so is Chaol's thought process, because now I'm going to take a beat from there and go to, he's like, you know what I'm also going to think about is Dorian's little brother.
Why not?
I know, right? But I think it does make sense, and I'll go into why that. Quote, he hoped that between him and Dorian, they could check whatever corruption was already rotting away in Holland's heart once Dorian ascended the throne. So I'm flagging this because we can see that Chaol views himself and Dorian as role models, as guides, almost as a moral compass, to be like, we are the ones who are going to guide him. I put very Timon and Pumbaa of them. And then Holland is their Simba. But I think what I like about this is that even his random thoughts about Dorian's brother, it still has to do with morals and honor and trying to be the person to deliver that honor to someone else.
So I know you're probably going to bring this up in a different context later. I want to pause for a moment because one of the things Jack and I are going to talk about a lot this episode is Chaol, his relationship to the king, his honorability, his loyalty, and what that means in the future context of Nehemia and her death. So in this moment, I wonder if this is telling of Chaol, right? Chaol has noble intentions. He sees the rottenness in Hullen. Hullen is a rotten, spoiled little boy who just breathes and exudes evil. But just because he sees it in Hullen, does that necessarily mean he also sees it in the king? And I think the answer is yes, but no. No, but yes. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah. He doesn't want to see the king for what he is.
Yes, exactly.
Still in Chaol's point of view, and we are going to get more about his mental state. Again, this is kind of like a character discovery. Like, we're getting a good basis of like reminder of, hey, this is what Chaol's about because he's about to experience emotions. So, quote, if Chaol had been in Dorian's shoes, he would have winced. But the prince just grinned, took the lady's hand, and swept her around the dance floor. And that is basically when Dorian, like, Chaol just kind of looks at Dorian and he's like, wow, you are dancing with so many women. I could not do that. And it's funny because Dorian will lament that he's not like Chaol or Celaena, and he kind of wishes he could be strong like them. Even later, he's going to be fighting, like, you know, dueling with one of his other employees, one of his other men. Yeah, just, and he's gonna be like, they're not even going hard. Like, he's like, Dorian really wishes that he was them, versus right now, Chaol is just kind of like, I am happy, I am not that.
Yeah.
There is a clear, we're gonna have this moment a couple times in this episode where Chaol is going to very much say, I am not royalty. I am not that. And that is another moment here where he looks at this and goes, I am not royalty. That is not my job.
Yeah, and I think it's said with relief, right?
Yeah.
That he doesn't have to parade around. And really, this is a meat market. And it's not that Dorian's looking for a bride. Everyone's looking for Dorian to pick them, right? He is the meat on display right now. And I think that's important, again, from a power dynamics point of view, before we go into what happens with Dorian this episode. We're seeing as Dorian is putting up with all the women who approach him. And I say that as if the women are doing anything wrong. They are not.
Yeah.
But this is Chaol's point of view right now. Dorian is treated as his own form of currency. Everybody wants in on it because he is the heir to the throne. On one hand, it's like, oh, this is right. Is this a good political scheme? Does it buy him affection? Does it buy him loyalty from his subjects? Or is his real purpose for being bred this way, for being taught to be this charming prince, is he really just a puppet to keep folks distracted from the king? Because nobody's paying attention necessarily to the king.
Yeah.
Everything is about Dorian.
Yep, very true.
So at this point, Chaol notices that Celaena has abandoned her post. So first of all, she was in sight when she wasn't supposed to be, and now she's gone completely. Quote, he stifled a snarl. Tomorrow, they were going to have a nice long chat about the rules and the consequences of abandoning posts while on guard duty. He is not worried about her. That his first assumption is the automatic, oh, she's abandoned, which in some ways she has, right? He knows her, but it's not a, is she okay? Oh, wait, she's on guard duty, whatever. Yeah. Again, going back to our earlier point, Celaena is not obedient, and Chaol is struggling with that lack of control over her. He even turns animalistic, a clear sign of baser instinct in him. He inherently needs control, and Celaena will not give him that control. Nevertheless, Celaena's not really one of his men. She's not necessarily beholden to him. And whether or not he can handle it, in my mind, is a moot point. It's not up to him.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is control and how much of it is doing or like abiding by the orders that are given to you shows your honor,
Yeah.
shows your morals, shows what you're willing to do, like for the king. And every time Celaena rebels like this or just doesn't listen, it's just another moment of she's not doing the honorable thing. However, he also knows she's very honorable herself. So it's kind of like a contradiction of what he believes to be true as well. So even moments like this, I think he struggles with her in general.
Right. Because his brand of loyalty and honorability is not the same as hers.
No, not at all. Chaol finds Celaena and, quote, Celaena waltzed with herself. She even held the edge of her dark cloak in one hand as if it were the skirts of a ball gown. Her other hand poised on the arm of an invisible partner. He didn't know if he should laugh, yell, or just go back inside and pretend he'd never seen it. I will say the visual eventually when they start dancing and she's like holding her cloak and they're both wearing uniforms, like, I don't know, kind of looks goofy to me. But in my head,
I like the visual.
I didn't say I didn't like it. It's just a little goofy looking. But the symbolism here is dancing. And that's what I kind of want to look into because this is Celaena leaning into her old self, leaning into the things that bring her joy. We know getting dressed up brings her joy. We know dancing brings her joy. She can't be part of this party. She can't be pretty and dolled up. She has to be a guard. So this is the one thing that she gets to lean into. And I also love how in book 1, you have Dorian who found Celaena playing piano by herself. And now we have Chaol who finds Celaena dancing by herself. The time with Dorian and playing piano, she was just really sad. And this is just more of one that Chaol gets to lean into with her. So yeah, I mean, it helps that she's embracing the quote unquote feminine arts that she so much enjoys. But why does I think dancing bring her extra joy? Because, she's likened it to killing before. She says that there's an art to killing, very much like a dance. She said that in book 1, not those exact words. Please do not try to quote me on that. But right now, dancing in this moment, she's able to find peace and do it without death.
Do you need to take a sip of water?
No.
Okay.
It's just a half choke.
Okay. Whether or not SJM intended it, Celaena calls out Chaol for putting her on guard duty. And this is kind of leaning into what Jack is saying about Celaena accessing her old self and a lot of other things. Quote, "It was like putting a starving man in front of a feast and telling him not to eat, which, by the way, you actually did when you made me go to that state dinner." So this is Celaena talking to Chaol. There's so many ways to read into this quote. On one hand, it's Celaena loves these things. She loves balls. She loves dancing. You're putting her in front of it again where she is not supposed to do anything about it. And it's just cruel to her, kind of going back to accessing the feminine. She wants to access the feminine. She's not given those opportunities. Another way to read it, Celaena knows that Chaol's asserting his authority over her, and he's done so a few times, and she's like, look, food is power. This is not okay. I'm not okay with it. Another point that I think is worth noting is that later in this episode, Celaena and Chaol have a moment where Chaol admits that Celaena deserves to eat as much food as she wants, because what's not said is she was starved in Endovier. She had food insecurity. But he forgets that context when he has on the mantle of the captain of the guard who is trying to be in control, trying to do honorable things. Right now, he's not thinking about the fact that for someone like Celaena who has experienced food deprivation and insecurity, using food metaphor is super, super telling. It is driving a point home about like, this is serious to me. And Chaol doesn't really acknowledge that. I think there's also some hidden meaning here. While Celaena is talking about music and dancing, I think also to some extent she's talking about her background, from where she came from being royal. She's starved for that life and being denied who she was by Aderlin. We've seen this before where she's like, well, if I might have had other opportunities, if not for what's happened to me.
Celaena brings everything that Chaol struggles with, not just like is something honorable or not, but also emotions. Like he's like, I don't know these emotions. Him and Dorian don't talk late into the night discussing their feelings, and he doesn't know what to do with it. Quote, Seeing her cry during Raina Goldsmith's song had stirred him so bone deep, it was like he'd found a part of him he hadn't even realized was missing. He feels that connection to her. It is bone deep. He is connecting with her vulnerability. Seeing her open up like that is what moves him. Like, just so it shakes his entire foundation, right? And I think not just emotionally, but again, like, he feels that she is a good person. That's something that he's struggled with in book 1 as well. And in order to make up for his attraction to her, because he was like, wow, she has a lot of emotions and I really like her. So this is what I'm going to do. Quote, he'd made them run an extra mile this morning, not to punish her for it, but because he couldn't stop thinking about the way she looked at him. That is not the way to my heart. If a guy ever was just like, wow, you are so beautiful, let's get up and hike at 8 a.m. or at 6, even that, 6 a.m., I'd be like, no, I can't. No, I cannot, sir. And this is the hard part, is the fact that he is able to do that to her, right? He's able to boss her around and say, we're going to get up and train and I'm going to make you run laps. He had a moment of emotion and he took it out on her. That is a power position. He should not be doing that. Celaena tells us, though, why she's out there dancing. Quote, she wants to, quote, forget everything for one waltz and pretend to be a normal girl. There are so many layers to this, right? Like, it's Celaena wishing that she wasn't an assassin, wishing that she wasn't Celaena, wishing that she wasn't Aelin. Like, there's just so many, wishing that she didn't have a destiny to figure out. And what is Chaol? He is the definition of normal. He does not have magic, right? He is just a really good guy who has a very normal life. And that reminds me of, in the Reputation documentary, Taylor was saying that she fell in love with Joe and that he was just a really normal guy who had a very normal, but she's not a normal girl.
Yeah.
She needs a Travis to match. Like, there's that other song. Is somebody going to match my freak? It's like, is someone going to match my non-normal?
Yeah, because normal to Celaena and to Taylor mean very different things than what they mean to someone like Chaol. Ultimately, Chaol tells Celaena to dance with him. And is it penance for putting her in a situation she's unhappy with? I don't think so. I don't think he's thinking that deeply. I mostly think he's thinking with his body.
Yeah. He's just like, she's pretty.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah.
She cried last night. I still get tingles about it. That got me off this morning with her tears. Like, what a fucking sicko. Anyway.
We like Chaol, by the way.
We do like Chaol, but I don't know how I would feel if a guy was like, hey, so you cried last night? And it moved me.
I feel like when you were talking about this, I was like, all the times where he gets super horny do occur after that.
Yeah.
So that's all.
I mean, maybe he's just like really into emotions, you know? Like, maybe that's what he likes. Because
he's been so deprived.
Otherwise, he'd just be like, hey, baby, do you want to put on Me Before You again? Do you want to cry? Go all night long.
Ugh, no. No.
So sad. I haven't done my yearly watch of that yet. It's coming. I haven't
watched it since it came out.
I keep trying. Every year I try to get you to watch it again.
Nope.
So we're in the same scene, but now we're in a different point of view. We're with Celaena, and she is surprised by Chaol's command to dance. Quote, because when he said it, it hadn't been the way Dorian had asked her to dance at the Yilmaz ball. That had merely been an invitation. So it's a lot of implying that Chaol is once again commanding her to dance with him. I think it works for their dynamic, but it doesn't make it less problematic. You know, I think what's hard is that, and I believe I'm going to make this point later. Yeah, I'm not making it here. I'm going to make this point later, is that Celaena wants to be guided right now. Mm-hmm. She wants to be that. She doesn't want to be the creator of her destiny. You know, like, she doesn't want to go and fulfill shit. She wants to be a normal girl, and she doesn't want to think about anything. So here she has this normal boy who's just like, hey, you're going to dance with me. So of course she's going to be like, yeah, okay. She craves that authoritative figure because she feels lost and confused.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Rowan becomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
The authority figure. So
he's really going to have to work to earn, like, to make me like him next season.
Yeah.
He hits her, and I don't like it. And I have issues with the violence that is threatened in this episode as well. So let's continue. I'm consistent, guys. So I want to make a counterpoint to our listeners, because last week we asked them, hey, prove us wrong about Chaol. And there was a number of people who were just like, Chaol is using Celaena. And I thought that was an interesting thing, especially when we have this moment. Quote, when her eyes found his, she forgot about the cold and the moon and the glass palace looming above them, the secret library and the king's plans. Mort and Elena faded into nothing. She took his hand and there was only the music and Chaol. This is Celaena using Chaol to distract her from her destiny. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a great point. Like, the fact that the last thing she thinks of is Elena, the harbinger of her destiny.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and when she says, like, the castle, she's talking about the king and her past and everything. There's just a lot for her to ignore right now. During this very honest dance, we get an even more honest moment. Quote, the moonlight and the garden and the golden glow from the ballroom blurred together, now miles away. We'll never be a normal boy and girl, will we? She managed to say. No, he breathed, eyes blazing. We won't. So you can tell that this is going to be a very vulnerable, emotional moment because it is moonlight. We know what she's about to confess is truth.
I love this idea because I also feel like SJM is clearly telling us right here and now, they're never going to be together. Like, there's so much foreshadowing in this idea that they will never be a normal boy and girl. They will never have that simple life that she craves, that Celaena craves.
And it ultimately would come down to, is Chaol capable of living a non-normal life? I like to think the way that their dance is described is important. So let's figure out if it is. Quote, she knew his every move and he knew hers, as though they'd been dancing this waltz together all their lives, faster, never breaking her stare. This dance, I feel like, really represents them. Their time together is so short. We are 1 week, a week and a half into this month. Like, this whole book happens in 1 month. They are together for like 1 week, and it's full of emotions. It's very dizzying. It's very overwhelming, very much like the dance.
Yeah, I love that you wanted to read into this dance, because I also wanted to read into this dance. And so I'm going to read the sentence before the sentence you read, because I think it's important for the conversation. Quote, each step was flawless, lethal, like that first time they'd sparred together so many months ago. So Jack has already brought up the quote from Throne of Glass, the first book, how Celaena equated sword fighting to dancing. Now, Chaol and Celaena are both beginning to realize and cementing the feelings that they have for one another. And it's encapsulated in this dance that has almost become this symbolic thing of the opposition between them that never disappears. Like, in this description, they are both weapons, they are sparring against each other. And especially for Celaena, she can't take the fighting out of the art, just like she can't take the art out of the fighting. Like, they go hand in hand. And can you really fall in love with someone if the emotions are tied up with the violence?
Absolutely. I just had another thought, and it doesn't exactly fit in here, but I just had another great comparison as to why Chaol is Joe Alwyn and why Celaena is Taylor. Honor, right? What's one of my, I think, were you and I? Yep.
Peace.
We were just talking about it, right?
Yep.
And it's the lyrics, I talk shit with my friends. It's like I'm wasting your honor. And you and I were just talking about this, where I was like, I don't want a guy who's like, can't handle me talking shit if I'm with my friends. Be interested in the tea with me. And that is another moment where I was like, oh shit, that's, again, Chaol's just a really honorable guy, and Celaena can't be on that level because honor and destiny live in two different realms. After realizing that they're never going to be normal, Celaena thinks this, quote, In that moment, after 10 long years, Celaena looked at Chaol and realized she was home. Now, this is huge for so many reasons, right? Because what happened 10 years ago? Her parents died. She lost her entire family. There was no home without her parents. There was, even with Sam, even with the Assassin's Keep, there was no home. Chaol is now her home. And my question ends up being, if Nehemia and Elena had just let her fucking leave it alone and let her come to these conclusions, because I think her embracing Chaol makes her slowly embrace what home looks like, and that is Terrasen. Celaena also comes to this conclusion that Chaol is home much faster than Chaol comes to the conclusion Celaena is it for me. Chaol eventually will come to that conclusion in a very kind of honestly too late moment. But it's at this moment that Celaena is like, yep, you are it for me. This is the man. You are my home. And this is love, people. I think everyone needs to accept it. They're in love, and this is the escape that Celaena needs.
I think the first time I read this, I was like, is this earned? What I think I was really asking myself was, is Celaena's definition of home and what home is the same as ours? Because the last time she had a home, she was 8 years old. It was with her parents. So home now has to equate to that same feeling of safety, protection, right? And is that the home that an 18-year-old needs or wants? I don't know. And I don't know that it's, even if it is, it's not a home that she can stay in.
Yeah. I think also what, I don't know if SJM is aware of this or she just kind of like did it naturally, but when people have lost a parent or parental figures and anniversaries are nearby, it makes you really crave family. Like, we're going to go into the anniversary of her parents' death, but like today's Father's Day. I'm sad. I'm not having a great time today. And don't do that face. I'm going to start crying.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. Like I'm sad today, but like, and I also know that I'm also wishing, like I like wishing, I'm being very vulnerable. There's a lot of things that I want in my life, and I'm wishing those like 10 times more. When I was 18, all I wanted was to get married and have kids quickly, because I just wanted that family again. And spoiler, I was like, the fuck you will. No, you're not. No, like, let's not do that. So that didn't happen. But I understand this, like this feeling of like when you're that young, you don't, and you're just trying to seize that feeling again. You're willing to do stupid shit.
Yeah. And it's, I think that Celaena genuinely likes Chaol, but I also think that she's influenced by her lack of family. And her 10 years of loneliness.
10 years of loneliness, and then you're gonna suddenly like you have a glimmer of what it could mean to have a family again.
Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't ask how you're doing this morning.
Oh no, it's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
Some years it just kind of hits harder than most, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I understand. I forgot it was Father's Day. And then I thought multiple times, Emma, tell your dad Happy Father's Day. Did I remember to tell my father Happy Father's Day? I did not.
Oh, that's funny. I texted my stepdad, and I want to ask my mom on the side, was I the first one?
Oh, poor dads.
Poor dads. That's why we need to embrace the scheduled text message feature on our iPhones.
We then switch over to Dorian's point of view. We are still at the ball, and we're in his perspective as he watches Celaena and Chaol dance, during which he describes them as, quote, no more than two wraiths spinning through the wind. Now, this is the third time Celaena has been compared to a wraith in this book, at least the third. Now, I think it could mean multiple things. It could mean Celaena's friendship with him is dead. Maybe his friendship with Chaol is dead, or at least the versions of them from Throne of Glass, the first novel. I also feel like, I'm sorry, guys, I just feel like SJM's laying on really thick this foreshadowing of the tragic end of the relationship between Celaena and Chaol.
There's this scene, and then there's a scene with Nehemia and Dorian, and I say with Nehemia and Dorian, it feels like a scene that she wrote or thought of early on.
Mm-hmm.
And this scene feels like a scene that she wrote or conceptualized later on in her planning.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. I think reading this scene is very much she knows they're not going to end up together.
Right.
Versus a lot of other times I'm just like, you thought they were endgame, didn't you?
Yeah,
but this is the first time that I'm definitely picking up the clues of no, tragic end.
Yeah, this feels like something she added in the edits after she wrote the first draft of Air of Fire. Like, she's like, oh, shit.
Or she had it already and was like, let's make it sad. What if I make it romantic with underlining sad?
Yeah, that too.
Dorian watches them from afar like a creeper. So now we're in Dorian's point of view, and he's just like watching them being, I'm over them. I'm over Celaena. I'm totally normal. I'm just watching them until Nehemia comes over and talks to him. So now we're in the part where I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. And I just want to take a beat to describe how Nehemia looks and how she's dressed. Quote, she was resplendent in a cobalt gown with gold thread accents, her hair coiled and braided in a coronet atop her head. Her delicate golden earrings glittered in the light of the chandelier, drawing his eyes to her elegant neck. The ball is described as having blue decoration, so I can see it's very much Nehemia trying to blend in. This is also the second time that we're getting a lot of, or that I'm remembering, of Nehemia being in gold. Remember, she had gold eyeshadow before, and now we're seeing her very much in gold. I think that we know Terrace, one, I'm sure she looks great in gold. Two, Terrason's colors are green and gold. So I kind of like to see this moment as a mixture between the two courts that she's trying to weave between, like the Adderlin court and the Terrason court. So
even though Adderlin is red, but it's all blue
but it's blue of the decoration. So
yeah.
Anyway, the next part is where I'm specifically thinking that SJM wrote this scene or thought about it early on. Quote, and this is Nehemia talking to him. Quote, you and I, we will always stand apart. We will always have, she searched for the word, responsibilities. We will always have burdens that no one else can ever understand. That they, she inclined her head towards Chaol and Celaena, will never understand. And if they did, then they would not want them. So at this point, Nehemia's only job is to deliver cool lines. Like, that's it. Her job is to only deliver these lines that pop up in SJM's head that she's like, ooh, this sounds nice. Let's have someone say this. Because this doesn't make any sense as to why Nehemia would be doing this. Why is Nehemia being the one who's like, oh, they'll never understand us because we're royalty and they don't get it. But also, Celaena, please step up into your royalness. And I know someone might be like, well, she doesn't want to tell Dorian that Celaena is royal. So therefore, she has to keep up the ruse. But she doesn't have to go out saying this specifically. You know what I mean? Like, you can just easily not say anything and just be like, hey, man, let my friend be with the guy that she wants to fuck. All right. Like, let's let it go. But it's so disingenuous of who Nehemia is on what she's been saying and what she's been trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so I completely agree with you. I really struggled with this scene and Nehemia's role in it because it does feel like she's flat out lying. So I tried to be like, okay, what if she's not? What if SJM was intentional with this scene and it wasn't just about delivering a cool line that is inconsistent with her character and what she knows? So I went back to Jack's point about Nehemia being in the same colors as the decorations and trying to blend in. What if Nehemia is trying to get into Dorian's good graces?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, she alludes later to his coming power and that he can rely on her when he comes into that power. I wonder to some extent if by comforting him, she's trying to strengthen their connection for her own gain. there's multiple reasons for that. One of them, Celaena isn't falling in line with what Nehemia is trying to get her to do.
Yeah.
She isn't biting on the Terracin fishing thread, worm, whatever. Dorian might be the backup plan. She could be trying to steer him the way Chaol thinks about steering Holland.
Like the backup plan where she kills him instead of herself.
Backup plan to Celaena.
Yeah. But I like what you're doing with it. I like it. I agree.
Because what does she do next? She then tries to push Dorian the same way that she pushes Celaena. Quote, "Would you stop it then? Speak to your father at the council meeting, convince the others to say no?" No one except for Celaena dared to speak to him like that, but her boldness had nothing to do with his response, as Dorian said, "I can't." Nehemia is like an open book. She's not as sneaky as she thinks she is because she's got the same message to everybody. And I do think that she's trying to keep all avenues to success open. She probably has seen Dorian be a decent person. Is like, okay, well, maybe I can give him a chance too. Dorian, on the other hand, thinks to himself, quote, "Demanding the king shut down Calaculla would force him to choose sides and make a choice that could destroy everything he had." I just want to take a moment to remind our listeners that Dorian and Celaena are on similar journeys, and we're going to see it a couple times in this episode. They are both struggling to answer the call to action because the call to action requires them to give up what they have. I firmly believe that Nehemia's death will change them both and will set both on the paths, their respective paths to their fates.
Yeah, it was always to change Celaena's path. Like, that was always the goal. But Dorian is a nice bonus of it's a 2-for-1 deal.
It is a
for
2-for-1
her sacrifice.
And to some extent, you would never have Celaena without Dorian because of the Elena and Gavin history, regardless of whether or not they end up together.
Yeah.
There's something poetic about both of their descendants being involved in saving the world.
I mean, they're very distant cousins.
Very, very distant cousins.
Yeah. As Dorian and Nehemia are chatting, Nehemia points out his privilege bullshit, and she gets mad. And like Amy was saying, that Nehemia is not as sneaky as she thinks he is, and we have this moment with Dorian, quote, "Perhaps he'd gotten used to her accent. He could have sworn she was speaking more clearly." Very bad spying here. And I think it's meant to be a sign of how Nehemia is becoming more reckless. You know, she's not as tight-lipped as before. She's not as smooth, honestly, as she thought she was. And this is her just being like, fine, I guess the next step is going to have to be her killing herself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's other steps, babe. There are so many other steps.
I'm glad you brought up this point because Nehemia does make a lot of missteps before she ultimately dies. And this is among the first of several that we're going to see in this episode. And again, it's like what I say at work. I don't often say this. My mother says it, though, when I tell her stories about me working. She's like, something to the effect of, "Your emergency is not my responsibility." Like, Nehemia, if just because you think this is an emergency does not mean I have to go at your pace.
Yeah.
Right? I can do it. Celaena can do it whenever she gets to it.
There are just so many other options before you get there. Like, before you get to faking your own murder. Like, there's just other things.
Yeah. Except Nehemia doesn't fake hers.
I mean, she actually is murdered, but
yeah,
she set it up.
Yeah.
It's still faking your murder. Because is it murder if you're a willing participant?
You're framing somebody else.
Yeah. So it's not murder. It's framing.
I mean, but she still gets murdered.
None of this is good. None of it is a good, like, this is why a lot of people have issues with SJM, and as you should. Overall, I continue to question Nehemia's purpose in this book, because she then hints to Dorian that she knows about his magic, and she's like, "Come to me when you are ready to learn about it." how does she know? How does she know? It's like the same way. How did she know about Celaena's powers? How does she know about Celaena's past, who she really is? How is she this all-knowing character and yet misses so many things?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's some of the frustration, is how we know nothing about Nehemia except of how much she knows.
At some point, I just have to like suspend my disbelief and just assume Elena told her, or there's a prophecy somewhere that informs some of what she knows, but whatever. Like, I agree. I don't like it. I think more than anything, what it shows is how, again, Nehemia is merely a plot device.
Mm-hmm.
SJM needed to foreshadow Dorian's power before we actually see it, needed to do all sorts of things, and just said, Nehemia's available, and just used her.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think people might be like, okay, you pointed it out, leave it alone. No, it will continue to.
It keeps happening.
It keeps going. But also, you know, a lot of writers like to listen to this podcast and they learn from it. And this is one of those things where if you're ever going to have a beta reader or you're going to read through your own work, you need to ask yourself this. Like, who is Nehemia? What is her source of knowledge, her source of power, her motivation? Because wanting to save her people isn't enough for everything that's happening right now.
Right. And doesn't justify how much she knows.
Yeah.
And take a sip.
Everyone, let's have a drink, even the listener. Grab a snack, stretch your legs, and listen to this while we plot our next move.
I just found out that my doctor of 7 years is leaving. And so I need to find a new doctor, and I am so excited to use for the first time ZocDoc.
I'm so excited for you. I am obsessed with ZocDoc. This is about to be my healthiest year yet because I keep going to the doctors because it's so freaking easy.
ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. I have had my annual appointment delayed 3 times this year, and now my doctor's leaving. I'm so frustrated.
Appointments made through ZocDoc happen so fast. Every time I have used it, I normally get appointments between 24 to 72 hours of my booking. And sometimes you can even get same day appointments because I have zero patience.
I love that we can book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, primary care, urgent care, and in my case, a wellness check.
And all the doctors are rated by actual patients.
Jack has used this. I'm going to use it, and you should too. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/booktalk to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today.
That's ZocDoc.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK. That's ZocDoc.com/booktalk. You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why so many people are making the switch to Mint Mobile.
Say hasta la vista to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium service from Mint Mobile for $15. Amy, didn't you say that your sister is on Mint Mobile and loves it?
Yes, it was the best option for her when she finally got her own mobile wireless plan.
Honestly, I think that it might be the best option for anyone who needs their own mobile wireless plan. It sounds amazing.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/booktalk. That's mintmobile.com/booktalk.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months. 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
We finally are now in chapter 18.
19 and 18 are the longest ones of notes.
I feel like 17 and 18 were the
sorry.
longest.
17 and 18, the first two.
And we're back in Celaena's point of view. It is the following day, and she is getting ready to threaten Archer at his townhouse. She's there waiting for Archer to show up, and she's being served by the butler. Quote, she hadn't touched the tea the butler had laid out for her on the low-lying marble table, though she'd certainly indulged in 2 cream puffs and 1 chocolate torte while waiting for Archer to return. Now, there are times when Celaena drinks tea and other times when she doesn't. And in my notes, I was like, why the fuck isn't she drinking the tea? And so I am going to choose to believe here it's symbolic because tea is often a symbol of civility, of culture. It's very, in my mind, British. I know it's not just Britain, guys. I know. But from my Western point of view, it makes me think of Pride and Prejudice and civility. And Celaena's not here to be cultured. She's not here to be civil. She's here to be an assassin. Now, of course, she's going to eat the food because A, she has a sweet tooth, and B, food is power.
While Celaena is waiting, she just kind of thinks back to Chaol and the night before in their dance. Quote, after the waltz had finished, he'd merely told her if she abandoned her post again, he'd break a hole through the ice in the trout pond and toss her in. Now, I know these moments are kind of meant to be like, ha, 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 this is hilarious. Look at these 2 cute, funny little people. And, she constantly threatens him. He threatens her. And it's meant to be funny. However, not this podcast. The power dynamics are messy. And I personally don't like threats of violence. Even in my friendship life, I do not threaten violence. Although you did threaten to hit me today.
Excuse you. You regularly throw things at me.
Like I said, I never threaten.
You act. Thank you for proving my future point on something.
And also, in Amy's defense, she only threatened to hurt me because I was like, should I hold your weight down while you're working out?
And make it harder?
Yeah.
You're threatening violence towards me. After threatening Celaena, Chaol, quote, stalked back inside and left her to suffer in the cold. Now, I do find his threats of violence and his putting on the mantle of the captain of the guard after sharing a dance with her odd. It feels like he's giving her the cold shoulder. It feels like he's kind of taking out indecision on her, which goes back to Jack's point from earlier about like, we're going to run another lap just because.
Chaol would thrive in today's day and age. And he would not be in a committed relationship at all. And he would just be busy being like, I just don't want to hurt you, but let's dance romantically outside and I'm going to ditch you out here. Dick. However, as annoyed as I am with Chaol being violent, Celaena is also violent. Quote, if your butler doesn't stop is just as violent. I'm going to read this quote. Now, remember, she is with Archer and they're about to have their little, afternoon threatening tea. Quote, if your butler doesn't stop listening at the keyhole, I'm going to cut off his ears and shove them down his throat. Chaol was threatening violence, so she's threatening violence. This is a very naturally violent relationship here. And I'm still not a fan of it. I think SJM, though, makes Celaena extra violent so that the threats of unforgivable actions, cough, cough, Rowan. Does that happen in book 3 is when it happens? Mm-hmm. He punches her in the face.
I'm pretty sure he warns her. Me, a Rowan apologist over here. Your face. Priceless.
Excuse me. No, never. I don't like it. Now, in hindsight of this meeting, it's amazing how much Archer is playing with Celaena, though. They're doing their own dance, and Celaena isn't even aware of it. He asks her about Dorian and Chaol, and if she's told them things. And she's like, no, I obviously haven't told them anything. And we know why why he's trying to like suss out how much they know so that he can activate his plans. And Archer says, quote, or is it because you don't actually trust either of them? He's trying to test her limits with Chaol to see, like, is he someone that would tell her the threat of Nehemia? You know, he's sniffing around.
So I want to expand on what you're saying. And I'm going to do that by first going back to the start of the scene when Archer first arrives. Before Celaena starts talking to him, she commands him the way Chaol commanded her the night before. Sit, she told him, not particularly caring that this was his house. Archer obeyed, taking a seat in the armchair across from the couch. Now, on one hand, you know, Chaol's bad attitude and taking out on Celaena is being mirrored here with Celaena and Chaol, you know, saying shit rolls downhill. It's kind of what's happening in my brain. And I feel like Chaol, Celaena can't really make up her mind about Archer and what to do with him because she's on a time crunch and he is not doing what she needs him to do. On the other hand, though, at the same time, Archer is obedient. He doesn't have to listen to Celaena. He can fight back, but all he does is sit down like a good little boy, which is a good way to fool her into like trusting him, believing him, because he is flat out lying to her.
Yeah. Also, I brought chocolate covered strawberries, or I bought strawberries and chocolate dip for tomorrow. And Selena Gomez's new Oreo crossover, which is supposed to be really good.
Oh, I had a reason to come to your place tonight. I was going to drop off margarita mix.
And cake.
Jesus, maybe we should eat the chocolate strawberries tonight.
I don't know. That's the great part is that all of this will stay in the episode and no one will know.
Nobody
listens to our podcast.
Do they even really love us?
No, we don't. The only person who ever that is like in our life who listened, one, Nicole listened to the first season like a champ.
Yeah.
Two,
Hannah did too.
Huh?
My sister-in-law also listened to the first season.
My ex-boyfriend was a very vigilant listener of this first several seasons.
Yeah.
While he was an ex.
Your cousin and your cousin-in-law.
Holy shit, I forgot about my family. Sorry, guys. Shout out Katie.
And Tony.
Shout out Joan. Love you guys. So sorry. Let's continue. Love them. All right, that's who loves us.
So when Archer calls Celaena out for not trusting Dorian and Chaol, it does strike a nerve. Quote, she shot to her feet. Don't presume to know anything about me, Archer. Now, I think Archer misinterprets that as her being protective, but I actually think that it's ultimately true. Celaena doesn't trust these two with her truest self. So how can she really ever trust them? Just putting a rhetorical question, just putting it out there.
No worry. I don't want to answer. That's fine. Let's let it remain. Let the listener think.
Yes.
Katie, Tony. Sorry, guys. Now we are with Dorian, and he's in a meeting with Daddy, and they are talking about slaves. That sucks. And Dorian thinks, quote, he should have fought to get Nehemia into this council. And it's just suddenly you can tell, like, he's like achieved consciousness, and he's like, do I have white privilege? Yeah, you do. So there's recognition that maybe he could do more, and it's not much, but it's a start. And at least like we're seeing so much growth from book one where he's just like, I'm bored. I don't want to be in these meetings. And now he's like, wait a minute. Should I have done something?
Yeah. Which, sad, but it is a lot of growth for him.
Yeah.
Now, there is a bready breadcrumb at this council meeting. Quote, "The black ring on the king's hand glinted in the dim light from the beastly fireplace, that mouth-shaped hearth that seemed poised to devour the room." Now, food is power. It's threatening to devour. There's a lot of evil going on, and we as the readers know this because we've read Throne of Glass. We remember Cain. We remember that the ring means evil and possession. It's also a visual cue that's important when Dorian sees that Parrington and Roland are wearing the same rings. It's a confirmation for the reader that they're all connected and that they're all influenced somehow if you didn't get that from the Raina Goldsmith execution scene. Just a reminder now. However, Dorian doesn't know this. Instead, he just feels jealous because why does cousin Roland get a ring and I don't, Daddy?
Like, they all have a ring and I really want a ring.
I want to be a part of the Black Ring Club.
Daddy, let me in. Play catch with me.
Now, jokes aside, I actually do think that this sets Dorian off because he's tried to obey his father. He's tried to please his father. His father he's never ever done enough to please his father.
This is such a weird Father's Day episode.
It really is. And I do think that this is the straw that breaks the camel's back for Dorian. It is ultimately why he speaks up and gets like for the slaves and yells at his dad.
He yells at his dad. Done talking. That's it.
Even though I have another note next.
Yeah.
So Dorian speaks up against the plans for Calacalla's expansion and having more slaves. Quote, "A growl from down the table. His father. Watch your tongue, prince. Not a father to his son, but a king to his heir." You know what this reminds me of? Chaol and Celaena from the ball the night before, because he snarled when she wasn't where she was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Power dynamics, and I don't think the parallel is accidental. When there are power dynamics like this, there isn't a lot of room for love. We see that with Dorian and his dad. Unfortunately, it also happens with Chaol and Celaena for different reasons, but similar reasons too. Dorian calls out his father for treating humans like animals. Quote, "You keep tightening the leash and it's going to snap." What I like about this quote is it does remind us that Dorian fundamentally understands that what's going on is wrong and that there are consequences to these bad actions. There is something noble within him, even if he's never been good about acting on it. And I think it has to be there for us as readers to keep rooting for him.
Mm-hmm. So when Dorian stands up to leave, because he's been chewed out by his dad and he's like, "I'm out, I can't handle this." And we get this quote, his dad will growl again. And, A, pick another word, B, showing how animalistic and non-human he is. So choose your own adventure of which one you guys want it to be, guys. Quote, "His father growled, but Dorian was already walking across the red marble floor, past that horrible fireplace, out the doors, and into the bright halls of the glass castle." It's very visual moment of seeing Dorian walk away from everything that symbolizes his father, right? Those red marble floors, the fireplace, which is described as like almost like a demon's mouth. Mm-hmm. So there's an into the brightness of the glass castle. Very symbolic storming out. If you're going to storm out, do it in the most symbolic way you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dorian is pissed, and because of that, he somehow accesses his magic and destroys a stone wall with his fist. Quote, "It wasn't possible because magic. Dorian dropped to his knees and was violently sick." Now, if you've been listening since season 1, ACOTAR, you know that being sick, vomiting, is often a sign of humanity, of weakness, and in this case, fear. Dorian may have magic ability but he is not powerful right now. In fact, the presence of magic weakens him because of the danger that it puts him in.
Yep. Love it. Love it. So now we're back with Celaena, and she's just chilling with Chaol, hanging out. He's teasing her. She's just like in his room. And he says, quote, "Don't you ever stay in your own rooms anymore?" No, not if she could help it. Not with Elena and Mort and all the nonsense just a secret door away. Celaena is using Chaol to hide from her responsibilities. Chaol is like, it's just funny. I don't want to, he's not using her the way that she's using him, but there's still romance. But he might be using her in his own way, but not in that escape way.
Yeah, not to the extent that Celaena is, honestly.
Yeah.
Celaena thinks to herself, quote, "Ordinarily, she might have sought sanctuary in the library, but not now. Not when the library held so many secrets, it made her head spin to think about them." So this is interesting because what this is telling us is that secrets rob Celaena of her comforts. The library was once a comfort. It is now no longer a comfort because it holds secrets. So Celaena herself, who is just one big secret, can she ever truly be comfortable if she is full of secrets? And to me, this is a reminder, just like the Archer moment was when he was like, do you even trust Chaol and Dorian? No, because she has secrets. If home equals safety and comfort, and she feels at home with Chaol because he feels like safety and comfort, will then her secrets ultimately destroy the relationship? Again, rhetorical.
But also true. Celaena and Chaol kind of have those like cutesy moments. She's just like, "I'm going to kick you. No, don't kick me. Oh my God, you're kicking me." Quote, "He chuckled as she put her foot against his face and pushed. He grabbed her foot and wouldn't let it go when she tried to yank her leg back." All right, I think we need to accept this truth. And that truth is that SJM, or at least the Maas verse, has a lot of foot shit going on. A lot of foot stuff happening.
It's a lot of foot stuff.
There's a lot of in his face. We already know it's canon. I don't like feet. I can't handle feet. I don't like it. So, like, is there a sock? I can't remember. I mean, none of it's good. None of it is good.
Doesn't matter if there's a sock. It's still gross.
I hate that so much. So I just don't want to assume things about SJM, but they've been assumed.
They have. I assume them as well.
Yeah.
So this is the point in the conversation where Celaena and Chaol talk about food. Chaol's teasing Celaena for how much she eats and how much food she wants. And Celaena says, quote, "Haven't I earned the right to eat as much as I want whenever I want?" She wrenched her foot out of his grasp as the smile faded from his face. "Yes," he said quietly, "you have." After a few moments of silence, he stood up and walked to the door. She sat up on her elbows. "Where are you going?" "To get you chocolate cake." Now, this is a really sweet moment because what's not said here is the fact that Chaol recognizes Celaena's past food insecurity. And so therefore, if she wants to eat, she should be allowed to eat, which is actually not what you're supposed to do with people who have had food insecurity, but that's beside the point. So what does this say about food as power in the context of what is going on versus secrets versus what she's avoiding? We could interpret it as Celaena feels that she's earned the right to her freedom. She's earned the right to choose to have power over her own destiny. That's what food, to me, is symbolic of in this moment. If we go back to the earlier conversation I had about Chaol from chapter 17, Chaol is only cognizant of Celaena's food insecurity when he is not in a position of power. He was physically below her in this scene. She was on the couch. And he doesn't have to be captain of the guard in front of anyone. He's only truly cognizant of her when he has no role to play. And that is problematic.
We've said before that maybe Nehemia and Elena should have let Celaena come to her own conclusions. I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again now. And I'm going to read this quote, and this is Celaena reflecting on what Nehemia had said. You can't read the italics, so I'm going to say it in italics. Quote, you know. Amy just tilted her head. You know, the courts weren't always like this, Nehemia had said. There was a time when people valued honor and loyalty, when serving a ruler wasn't about obedience and fear. Do you think another court like that could ever rise again? Celaena hadn't given Nehemia an answer. She hadn't wanted to talk about it. But looking at Chaol now, at the man he was and the man he was still becoming, yes, she thought, yes, Nehemia, it could rise again if we could find more men like him. Chaol's honor is what attracts her to him. Now, we talk a lot about, is Chaol almost too honorable to a fault? Yes. But his honor is very similar to that of Terrasen. And he inspires her to do more, because she even thinks at one point, quote, and maybe it had taken her this long to realize it, but this man, she wanted that life with him. He is home, and home is now Terrasen. Like, this isn't just kind of maybe some mythical maybe area. Like, there's starting to be a connection of like, well, maybe Terrasen can be rebuilt. Maybe I can have a home again. These things are beginning to happen there. And she's committed to Chaol, which means you can see her becoming committed to her own country again.
Mm-hmm. Because if she has people like Chaol around her, maybe she can fulfill her destiny. At this point, Celaena goes back to her room after touching Chaol's face, by the way, and sees Dorian, who's waiting for Nehemia, and all of that is in the breadcrumbs. Thank you for listening to part 1 of this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Stick around for part 2, which airs on Thursday.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would also love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. You can submit your comments to our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com for a chance to have your feedback discussed during a future mini episode or a Patreon exclusive episode.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk.
Bye.
Bye.
You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why so many people are making the switch to Mint Mobile.
Say hasta la vista to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium service from Mint Mobile for $15. Amy, didn't you say that your sister is on Mint Mobile and loves it?
Yes, it was the best option for her when she finally got her own mobile wireless plan.
Honestly, I think that it might be the best option for anyone who needs their own mobile wireless plan. It sounds amazing.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/booktalk. That's mintmobile.com/BOOKTALK.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months. 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
The search for truth never ends. Introducing June's Journey, a hidden object mobile game with a captivating story. Connect with friends, explore the roaring 20s, and enjoy thrilling activities and challenges while supporting environmental causes. After 7 years, the adventure continues with our immersive travels feature. Explore distant cultures and engage in exciting experiences.
There's always something new to discover. Are you ready? Download June's Journey now on Android or iOS.